I opened the doors up, and I don't get the respect for that yet, but ESPN never covered MMA. That was the first time MMA was on top 10 in ESPN. I remember that. It was a Wednesday night, because WC was Wednesday nights. We went to the bar. We're sitting down in the bar with my mom having fun, and all of a sudden ESPN top 10. I was on there for the first time, like right after the fight. That's when I knew how big that kick was. I was like, whoa, like, MMA's never been on ESPN top 10.
I mean, do you feel like you and Benson have a little bit of like the Batman and Joker? Like you kind of need your
stories are aligned.
Your stories are so aligned, and there's, I mean, you're 3-0 against him. So I almost wonder if he sees you as that.
I never told the story before. So when I got signed to the WEC, my mom is totally against me fighting. Even still, she's like, when are you gonna get a real job, mijo? Like I'm like, Mom, I've been paid for your house.
Yeah.
But so when I got signed to the WEC, we went to a fight in Chicago, and my mom had never seen this before. And she's like, and I was supposed to fight that night, but I broke my hand, and Ben was the main event. And she was like, mijo, you gotta fight that guy? She was like, stay away from him, Ben Henderson. Yeah. So right away, I was like, I want him. Like immediately, I was like, I want him. He didn't know it.
You're like, thanks, Mom.
I was like, I want him. But the crazy thing was, like, he won the belt, and then it lined up for like me to fight him for the last title shot. And that was the last fight in WEC history. And then that guy, I was supposed to go fight for the UFC world title, but Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard fought to a draw, and that's why I didn't get that first title shot. But yeah, that was like mine and Ben Henderson's moment where I knew like we were aligned for a long time. My mom was like, stay away from him, and I'm like, nope, that's where I'm going to.
Dude, if I was her too, though, I mean, those legs, like,
yeah, he was a monster, bro. Like, yeah, and he was like dominating. He was dominating, yeah.
But good for you. I mean, sometimes.
And then, so when we go, sorry to cut you off. No. When we go to the WEC, I go fight Clay Guida. I lose, right? And I'm step back. So I didn't get my title shot. He goes and wins the belt before me. So I'm like, all right, I got to get him again. So that's why he was always like, he made me better. He pushed me up. He made me level up. I'm like, yo, if a guy that I beat in the WC just got the world title, and he was killing guys. I remember he whooped Jim Miller's ass, and I was like, damn, like, he's killing it. Like, I had to just give him respect, but it just motivated me to be like, yo, I need to get there. And then it just so happens he's the champ again, and we fight again in karate combat. But me and Ben are cool, man. Like,
of course.
You got to respect the guy that you fought that many times. So
what I loved is seeing some of the legends that I grew up watching, you know, who hated each other. Like, you know, Tito and Chuck. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're having beers now. Like they're like, hey, I needed you. You made me better because you pushed me. I hated you at the time.
At the time, we didn't know.
Yeah, but now we can look back and be like, man, our lives. Thank you. Exactly. That's really cool.
Ben actually did Taekwondo too. He started with the same Taekwondo that I did. So we have similar stories, man. Like his background is in the same organization that I started in.
Obviously, Benson, the kick heard around the world. It changed a lot. So as much as that is like what you're known, iconic, was that your favorite moment, even though it could easily have been everybody else's? Man,
I would say winning the belt in Milwaukee has to be my favorite moment. And I mean, that was a great performance. I was flawless. My face was perfect. But like, as far as like a move, like, because I mean, in Milwaukee, I finished him. I actually beat him, and I didn't finish him here in Arizona. That kick was like the end of the fight, but it was beautiful. Like, that was the first time I opened the doors up, and I don't get the respect for that yet, but ESPN never covered MMA. That was the first time ESPN top 10 MMA was on top 10 in ESPN. I remember that. It was a Wednesday night, because WEC was Wednesday nights. We went to the bar. It was like wherever that arena is, there was like a bar right across the street from there. We're sitting down in the bar with my mom having fun, and all of a sudden ESPN top 10s.
No way.
I was on there for the first time, like right after the fight. That's when I knew how big that kick was. I was like, whoa, huge. Like MMA's never been on ESPN top 10, and I was on there. And I didn't even get top number 1. I was like number 7 or something. I'm like, you know how crazy that move was?
Yeah. What was 1 or 2? A golf putt or something?
A dunk. It was a dunk, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, thank you for paving the way, because I feel like Sports Center now, everything is MMA. So thanks for trailblazing that. That kick put, obviously, ESPN, the attention is there. Did that put pressure on you to always be Showtime after that? Like, were you able to go back to traditional, or did you just always have that pressure? Man, I was always that guy. So that's the cool thing. Like, I think when I came in the game, I never put on a character like, you know, Kobe Covington, or like guys that have like a character that they got to play, and they're like, oh, they're not that guy in person. Like, I am who I am. Like, that's how I am. I fight the way I am as a person. I take a risk. I gamble. Like, I'm willing to risk it all for the big moment. And that's just how I live. So it wasn't extra pressure. You were like, that pressure was always there. Yeah, but if you watch the fights before that, I was doing crazy shit too. Yeah. So to get the belt, obviously you had to have a tremendous amount of confidence in yourself. Did getting the belt give you even more, or how was that afterwards? I think you probably feel like this too. Like, you know, like what we just said, manifestation is real. Like, I believed I was the best in the world. I already knew I was. I was like, I beat this guy already. I got to show it to everybody else. So I was training like I was the best in the world. I was running like I was the best in the world. I was doing everything like I was the best in the world. And when I did it, I was like,
Yep, I knew it. I would say after it was a little disappointing because like it was so focused on that goal. I'm like, when I win the belt, everything's gonna be good. When I win the belt, my relationships and my life's gonna be good. It's not. Like so much more attention got to me. Like I had to balance and juggle a whole bunch more shit. That's where I first realized how to pay taxes and how much taxes cost and make sure you save for that. But yeah, I would say like a target's on your back when you're the champ. Everybody's looking at you. They're studying your style. And the UFC's job is to create challengers, not champions. And I felt it. When I was a challenger, and then I became the champ. I mean, if you could say the champ, I mean, it's not their job, but it's their job to make a challenger. They got to create a story. They got to create something interesting that people want to see. And that's the game of the business.
Dang. So the target on your back, not only for
everybody,
the promotion too.
They got to keep the seats full.
What I love about what you just said is, if I'm understanding you right, yeah, obviously you had the confidence and the belief in yourself to get the belt, but the belt itself, when you got it, didn't change much because you were like, no, this is what I've been seeing my whole time. Now you guys are just finally caught up to my reality. Yeah. I love that.
You guys see what I saw.
Yeah. Yep. You guys are just a couple years behind.
And I tell my mom, I'm like, see, I told you I could do it. I remember we were crying, and I'm like, Mama, I did it. And she's like, I know, mijo. Like, that was my favorite moment of my life.
I can imagine.
Crying cage side, the whole city of Milwaukee's just watching me cry with my mom. Man, it was
beautiful.
Yeah, I would never forget that moment. She was crying on my shoulder, and right after that, I bought her a house and car, and yeah, it was blessed.
Dude, chills. And she's in Milwaukee still?
She's in Milwaukee still, yeah.
Your older brother obviously played a role and watched you and your come up and your successes. You also have the position of being the older brother of a fighter who's on his come up. And what are the stresses? What are the fears? Or because you're a fighter yourself, do you see it differently, or how do you protect him?
Yeah, so like Serge is like a sensitive topic for me. So when I was 16, my dad was killed in a house robbery across the street from my house. Like I remember this. I was working at Charlie's Grilled Subs. I was in high school, so sophomore in high school. I worked until 9 o'clock, and me and my older brother, he worked at Super America. And we also taught Taekwondo. So I would teach Taekwondo Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and then I would do my other job other days. Wednesday night, it was a Tuesday night, and we had a knock on the door. It's a Milwaukee detective, and he's like, we're investigating a homicide. And me and my brother are like, we thought my dad killed somebody. We're like, oh shit, like we can't say nothing. Don't give him no information. So he asked us all the questions, and then at the end of it, he's like, we think your father's the victim. And then he pulls out this Polaroid, and it's like my dad in the back of an ambulance, and like there's like gauze on his chest, and like his eyes are just wide open. And like I always remember that picture. I'm like, wait, you're telling me my dad's dead? Like, crazy moment in my life. I'm 15. I'm in high school trying to figure out what I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Supposed to be thinking about prom and homecoming, but immediately I got thrown to the grown-up side, bro. I got like my mom. So I lost my dad from the house robbery, but my mom was so sad. Like that was her husband forever, like the only boyfriend of her whole life. So she was gone too. So for a year and a half, she didn't leave her room. So I'm 15 years old trying to figure out. I remember our rent was $750. I was like, how the f are we gonna pay this rent? How are we gonna make sure Sergio's eating? And Sergio was only 5 years old at the time, so he didn't really understand. No, 9 years old. I'm sorry. He was 9. We're 5 year difference. He was 9 years old, so he didn't really understand like what really happened. Luckily, not luckily, but my dad was in and out of our lives. Like he had a drug problem. He was gangs and shit. So he wasn't like full time with us. He'd come in, come out, come in, come out. So it kind of made it a little easier. But my mom was gone, you know. So it was like I had to step up. Me and my older brother stepped up. That's why we focused in on the Taekwondo gym. We blew that thing up. Got my mom, you know, she didn't have to work. She was good. She was like, be sad, Mom, and we had to take care of it. Yeah. So that's why my relationship with Serge is so strong. So like I meet initially before my dad died, me and Serge would bump heads all the time. I would treat him like little bro. And then when my dad died, I'm like, bro, I want to make sure this kid has a good life. Like I had two choices, like make it an excuse or make it a reason. And I made it a reason.
Powerful.
My mom put it on me. Sorry, I got a little emotional. But my mom put it on me, and she's like, if you're gonna fight and he follows you, whatever happens to him, it's on you. And I'm like, so like I knew what I was capable of, but like when I corner him, that's out of my control, bro. So like I'm way more nervous for him than I am for myself, because I know like if I lose or if I get hurt, I can handle it. But for him, I'm like, yo, I'm in charge of that. But luckily, Serge is the man. Like Sergio's like one of the most hardest working kids, and he's more talented than me in mixed martial arts. I have a better it factor, and I'm more crazy, and I'll take the risk. But he's so calculated. He knows his shit. He's black belt and everything. He's our first brother that was a Taekwondo world champion. I never won world champion Taekwondo. He was our first world champ Taekwondo brother. So I always knew how good he still hasn't hit his career high yet. Like, he's still figuring himself out. I know he's gonna this year, I would say he's gonna find himself, or he's gonna be on his game, because he's just so good. I know he's my little bro and I might be biased, but I'm telling you, he's just that good. Like, his mixed martial arts, there's no holes in his game. He wrestled in high school, black belt in Taekwondo, box, kickboxing, karate. Like, he knows it all. And that's why I say he's better than me, because his skill set. Like
you're saying, you might be a little biased, but if I was to ask you, in the UFL, when you have a team and you're building who you think represents not only your city, your community, but who you think represents your team of fighters, and just like in the NBA or whatever teams, you kind of have your franchise player. Mm-hmm. You, even if he wasn't your brother, you feel like he would fill that franchise fighter spot? I think I'm very good at recognizing skill. And it's like, things that I look about is a guy coachable, and does he know how to learn? Because there's so many athletes and there's so many guys that can fight. Yeah. But like, if you can't be coachable and you can't learn on the job and take advice, then when the lights come on, you're that guy in the gym, and usually that guy don't win. So like, you'll see, like me, I'm not a gym warrior winner. Like, if I go to a sparring match, I'm calculated. That's why I'm not brain damage, and thank God. Yeah. I don't go to war like that. Like, I don't try not to get hit. So that Taekwondo taught me that. So I think with us both, like, our whole premise of striking is range and not getting hit. But because we did Taekwondo, where we had to get a black belt, we're so coachable, and we competed our whole lives. We did tournaments every fucking weekend. So when the lights come on, we're not afraid. It's not something new for us. It's like, it's competition. There. Yeah. So I think that's what I look for guys. Are you coachable? Do you know how to learn? And have you had previous competition? Because then I can see what they'll do on the lights. You can spot the talent. Obviously, your brother could be the LeBron James of your team. Do you have other fighters that you're just like, you know what? I need to build. Oh, man. I need to build this team around. Tell you one thing right now. So Showtime Group's my management company. We buy about 85 guys that are going to be 1 year. This year I'll have a bunch of guys going to the next show. But in 2-3 years, my whole squads are going to be on top of the top. Like, we're taking our time to build them right. Like, most of these guys are like, let me get to 5-0, get on Dana White Contender Series, get to the UFC. But then you don't last in the UFC. So it's like, it's not sustainable. Like, so I want my guys to actually get the experience, have the test at the lower level, so when they go, now you have a real job and you can go build something with. Because if the first time you get against something that's tough is in the UFC, you find out who you really are quick. I'm so excited to see the team that you're building around, because at these levels, a $50,000 bonus for a team that wins instead of just an individual. It's amazing. Yeah, you want your team to be able to win. Yeah. And not only that, like, the platform you're building, that's why I think we get along. We're kind of on the same mindset with it. We want to give these guys opportunity, a platform, and like you're giving a little more money than I can afford right now. But together, like, yeah. And I'm saying with the bonuses and shit, like with APFC and the way UFL's going, but both of them are ways for guys to get to that next level, or do this as a living and call themselves a professional athlete. 100%. That's what I can't wait. Is so many people think that UFL is trying to replace UFC or trying to be it's like, no. What we're building is, I think it's genius. It's an option. It really helps. What I love is the civic pride is even if fans they don't know the fighters, especially at this level, sometimes they don't have the name recognition. Mm-hmm. But if they're representing Phoenix and you're a Phoenix, you can love that fight. Even if you don't know the fighter, you're like, crap, they need to win in the third round for that team to win 50 grand. Level, yeah. And so I love that. But we're also building things that hopefully elevate the rest of the promotions. Like, we actually provide health insurance. Mm-hmm. We provide pretty good purses. And then, of course, the win bonuses. Yeah. Like, I don't see that as needing to say, screw UFC or screw whatever. It's like, we're elevating everybody. Yeah. It gives fighters options. It gives fighters the ability to either get noticed and move on to other promotions, or stick there and say, I want to build with this team. I feel like I am a good leader and I can have the team around me get 50 grand every time we fight, because we fight together and we want to finish. We take risks. We finish quickly. I'm excited to see what we can all build together. Me too, man. I think it's going to be fun. 2025 should be a great year for all of us.